I want to bring in now Benny Johnson, a very dramatic Benny today, kind of shocked the country. The Attorney General of the United States steps up to the microphone and talks about threats for the assassination, for your assassination and your family. Can you tell us about it and the impact to your family, sir?
Yes, Steve, that's exactly right. Charlie Kirk killed exactly 1 month ago today. This was something that we all watched. A good man, a peaceful man, a loving husband, and a devoted father, a dear friend of mine and a brother to me. And we sent them the peaceful guy. That's all Charlie wanted to do, was talk and debate. And because Charlie had won the ultimate debate, they decided to kill him because that would be the only way to silence him. So what does that tell us about the modern left, Steve? That we should take their threats seriously. If we send them the peaceful guy and then they kill us, there's a lot of parables actually that Christ tells about this. They're telling us who they are. And they're telling us that with every passing week. Now, I was just in Portland and Chicago with Kristi Noem at ICE facilities, and I watched those ICE facilities to a man get attacked with sticks, bricks, rocks, stones, explosives. I saw the slashed tires of their vehicles. I saw dozens of left-wing protesters arrested. Our cars in the motorcade were spat upon. For what? For just arresting some child pederasts that are here illegally? This is what the left is fighting for? There was a giant sign outside of the ICE facility in Portland that said, "We have the guillotine and we're about to use it." Well, okay. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. The left has become obscenely violent. We've seen that in the church shooting in Minneapolis, where little Christian children were slaughtered by left-wing extremists. We've seen that in an ICE facility that was under sniper fire by a left-wing extremist. But is it really extreme, or is it mainstream from the Democrat Party? And so when we got a letter that threatened to do the exact same thing that happened to Charlie to me, and to orphan my children and widow my wife, we took it very seriously. We went to the federal authorities. We went to the local police, who then referred it to the FBI. The FBI took it very seriously, and a massive shout out to Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, who were all over this, and Attorney General Pam Bondi, who has now someone in custody and in prison that has copped to this DNA evidence on the letter that was sent to my home. And so we're going to take it seriously, and I just a profound thank you to the Trump administration for saying, all right, well, maybe this is enough. Maybe we don't have to wait for somebody else to die to take this seriously. The question, I guess, for the Democrat Party is how many more of us need to die? And that's a pretty dark question because, well, I don't know. They don't seem to be taking it seriously, Steve. I'll leave you with this. In Virginia, a man named Jay Jones is on the record doing exactly what happened to me today. He's on the record threatening the lives of Republicans, wanting to kill their children, calling them little fascists, saying that pain is the only teacher. And Democrats, presumably by the millions, will be voting for this guy for the top law enforcement position in the state. What does that say about the state of their party? It's totally godless, Steve.
Benny, you have a different operating style than Charlie, but you're one of the leaders of this movement. You have tremendous energy. Not only do you go around and speak, you got the podcast, all that, but you have been riding shotgun and putting out to the nation with your videos exactly what's going on and to the details of how kind of perverted is this resistance to basically get these illegal alien invaders out of the country. I think it's broader than the Democratic Party. What permission structure is on the left that makes it okay to send a letter to you threatening your life with assassination and also your children? What is the permission structure of the entire left, broader than the Democratic Party, sir, that makes all right? Because this guy will be lionized by certain elements of the left of this guy's a hero, sir.
Yeah. So, Steve, I'm a Christian. And as a Christian, I believe in the book of Genesis, that God created life. And he created life and man to be in his own image, that thou shalt not kill. I believe in the Ten Commandments. I believe in Christ's order and law. And I stand against murder because life is precious and creation is from God. And it's immoral to take life. And because of that worldview, I am against violence. I'm against political violence. I've never advocated for political violence. We stream hundreds of thousands of hours. We have hundreds of thousands of videos that are on the internet. Never once in any private message or in any piece of content have I ever advocated violence, nor would I. In fact, when Joe Biden got terminal cancer, stage 5, metastasized to the bone, which is a death sentence, we prayed for him. And I don't like Joe Biden. I think he wrecked the country, but nobody was celebrating or dancing on his grave. That's not who we are. And that's because we see life as innately valuable. And the difference is that the left is godless. Marxists and Bolsheviks are always godless. And they simply view life as numbers on a ledger and to be done away with if it's politically inconvenient. And that is precisely the permission slip that they have. It is good versus evil, darkness versus light, Steve.
I want to make sure people understand this because I don't think you're not a guy that puts this out there a lot, but they have targeted you for a while now. Obviously, this is they're going up the escalatory ladder in the threats, but they've come and tried to intimidate you and your family before, your children, your wife, particularly when even you're not there. What they're trying to do is show the right that we can come after your leaders, and if we flinch, that's a victory for the left. These people are violent. They're going to get increasingly violent. The letter, at least the parts that were implied today, were grotesque. And I know you're very thankful for the Trump administration and for Pam Bondi and DOJ and Cash. Everybody was on it. But what is your guidance to the Republican Party and to our movement overall of how we're not law enforcement officials? You're one of the movement leaders. We're on this movement together. You've got the Warren Posse, average Americans, but they see what's going on. They can't unsee Charlie's brutal assassination just a month ago. What's your message to this movement, and what's your message particularly to the leaders of this movement?
Yeah, to the leaders of the movement, and particularly to the movement itself, which is a moral movement of good people, it's that God is the author of life and death, and you shouldn't live in fear. That ultimately, our Creator is the one who holds our life in his hand. And we have him to thank for our lives. He didn't need a Benny Johnson. God didn't need a Steve Bannon. He didn't need a Tucker Carlson. He created a Charlie Kirk for a reason and for a purpose. God created us for a purpose. And we have a purpose on this earth. And that purpose is not to cower in fear. It is not to curl up in a ball in a fetal position and to feel sorry for ourselves. And where did I learn this the most, Steve? I learned it from Charlie. In 2020, when we watched Joe Biden steal the election and we watched this massive apparatus, sort of this cloud of darkness sort of come over everything, Charlie knew damn well that this meant that his social media would be demonetized. He'd be taken offline. Turning Point would be harassed by the feds. He knew that he was going to have a massive uphill battle as somebody who is such a strong ally and stuck his neck out so much for President Trump. And we were there right after the election was called for Joe Biden. And that was the time for Charlie to be sad. And that was the time for Charlie to be depressed and to say, well, maybe we just wrap this whole thing up, or maybe we play nice and just don't really go on offense. And that guy, he was like, we go 50 times harder. This was the story. And it is 100% factual. Charlie Kirk said, we are going to go 50 times harder now that they've done this to our nation. And that is the spirit of the lion. That is the spirit of Christ in us, the man who has conquered death. And that power lives within us, Steve. And so we are not made to be timid. The nature of Satan is to steal, kill, and destroy. So when you see people getting killed and destroyed and stolen from, you know that that's evil moving this world. And that's not us. We are salt and light. And so that's what keeps me going. And ultimately, my message to the leaders of the party is to get behind the people who are being targeted right now. There are left-wing billionaires who are funding militant groups to come and kill us. We know that as a matter of fact. And I think we're going to find out so much more about the funding of Antifa and other paramilitary groups on the left. And I'd love to see Republican billionaires, get together to counter that in a real way, because it is an actual war out here. And they want to take us out. And we got to stand strong. That's the way we're going to do it.
You were instrumental in 2024 with as one of Charlie's partners in delivering, getting out low propensity, low information voters in places like Pennsylvania, the reason we won, a place like Arizona, Michigan. Today, with all the security concerns, you were going to be one of the headliners in New Jersey. Why did you pick New Jersey? Why this race? And why was it important enough to Benny Johnson to say, hey, for the first thing after Charlie, at least publicly, I'm going to be up there with Posobiec and Pressler, Cliff Maloney, everybody that delivered the 2024. Why did you do that?
I planned on taking the first flight out this morning from Tampa to get to Philadelphia and then driving to Wildwood, New Jersey, which is a hard place to get to, honestly. And so that was going to be my path today. But I got a call late last night from the Attorney General's office saying that they're going to do this press conference. And so that was something that we had to do. And there was just no conceivable logistical way for me to get up to Wildwood. I recorded a video for them. I don't know if it's playing, perhaps it's playing right now at this moment. But we were honored to be invited. We want to play offense. This kind of dovetails beautifully into our last question, Steve, which is, what does playing offense look like? I mean, playing offense looks like going into enemy territory. How do you win a war? You don't win a war through a World War I style stalemate. You through trench warfare, where it's like 5 feet one way or the other. You win a war by taking ground, by taking resources from the enemy, by taking their resources and using it against them, by going deep into enemy territory, by proving your power. And I mean, of course, that's what terrified them about the whole Jimmy Kimmel saga, was these people thought they were untouchable. And they realized in that moment that they not only didn't have cultural power, they didn't have institutional or regulatory power. And so they were totally and completely exposed. And we were able to roll right into Moscow. You know what I mean? And it's like this is the moment that we should be going on offense politically and culturally. Because the energy is with us. The American people are with us. And I love this shot. If we could stay on this wide shot for just a moment, there's a reason why there's this beautiful electoral map in my studio. The electoral map shows that 90% of the counties in America voted with President Trump. 90% of the counties in America vote for Trump. And that means that we run this land. And I want a media that reflects that. I want a moral populace that reflects that. I want an entertainment industry that reflects that. And I want a political class that reflects that, Steve. And that only happens by going on offense.